our Korean American chef, Edward Lee, and let's give him a big round of applause.
Next time we go to bathhouse together. 네, 안녕하세요. 너무 영광입니다. 감사합니다. I'm honored to be here tonight. I'm already very tired because I took a lot of pictures. And no, I didn't, because someone asked me, I didn't cook the food tonight. But it was very good, but I hated it. This is a special night for me because I don't think a lot of people know, but I actually live here in DC now. I've lived in many places. I grew up in New York. Obviously, I lived in Kentucky for a long time. I lived in Seoul for a little bit when I was younger, but now I call DC my home. And my daughter goes to school here. So this is actually the first kind of gala thing that I've done here. So thank you very much. The warm welcome makes me feel really special. So thank you. As you know, I'm a chef. I have restaurants in Kentucky, and I have a couple of restaurants here. We just opened Shia, which is a Korean restaurant here in Union Market in DC. I've been a chef for 35 years, professionally, but I've been a chef my whole life. I remember, I think I was 11 years old or 12 years old, and I told my very traditional Korean parents, I said, I'm going to be a chef. And, you know, Korean fathers, they were like, yeah, but Billy's going to be a baseball player, and that's fine, like, you'll grow out of it. And then he asked me again when I was 16, I said, I'm still going to be a chef. And then got a little worried. And then after college, when I went to started working in the culinary field, that's when my parents really were disappointed in me. But I had a vision, and I always knew. Never knew that I was going to be a successful chef. I just always knew that I had a passion, and that this was going to be my life. And you know, later when my mother saw articles in the New York Times and the television stuff, they were very proud of me, and my father got to see some of that before he died. So I'm very proud to have represented them. All my life I've been a chef, and I've been a chef of, I started cooking French food, and I did, lived in Kentucky, I did Kentucky food, Southern food. And I've always had this side of me that I think the last speaker also spoke about, of identity, and I've always wanted to explore what it is about me that's Korean. I was born in America, so I don't really have a lot of experience with Korea. Didn't travel to Korea much, I didn't speak the language, I didn't know much about the culture, the history. But what I knew was the food. And I knew it from my mother, my grandmother, and everyone who made the food around me. And that was my strongest connection to my culture and my identity. And so being a chef is so important to me to honor and preserve Korean food, Korean ingredients, and how we can spread just the love of Korean culture through food. And that was the only connection I had. So when I went back to Korea, the first time I went to Korea, I was like 16. I didn't speak any language, I didn't know anything, but I knew everything about the food. And I could tell you, like, what is jjajangmyeon, and what is bibimbap, and I knew, and people were impressed that I loved the food so much. And to me, that bond has always been so strong. I'm the son of Korean immigrants, and I remember watching my parents come to this country. We came in 1972, and I remember watching them struggle. I remember watching them have no money, no friends. They didn't speak the language. They were often belittled for not speaking the language. And they sacrificed so much so that I could have a better life. And that connection to my parents means so much to me. When I had a daughter, my daughter's now 11, and I remember having her and thinking, there was this journey that I've been on my whole life to rediscover or recapture what is Korean about me. And my parents did the best they could, the rest is up to me. And I remember when my daughter was born, all of a sudden I had this feeling of like, you know, I'm half Korean. I don't know enough, but how do I now give this to my daughter? How do I pass on what little I know? And I'm very proud to be Korean. I'm very proud of my heritage. How can I give this to my daughter? And it started me on a journey really 11 years ago, where I opened my first Korean restaurant, which was about 4 years ago in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was really scared because I thought, you know, there's not a lot of Koreans in Kentucky. So I was like, is anyone going to come to the restaurant? But because sort of K-culture through music, movies, fashion, sports has expanded so much, like people are really curious and the restaurant's busy every night. And that gave me a lot of pride and gave me a lot of hope. And it was just an amazing thing. And then about 2.5 years ago, I got an email from the White House. And they said, you know, we're doing a steak dinner and the president and the first lady of South Korea are coming. I know we can't really talk about them anymore, but at the time it was a huge honor. You know? So I got the email and I said, is this a joke? Is this a prank? Is this real? And they said, yeah. And so I got to cook dinner at the White House for Korean President, First Lady, the American President, the First Lady, and so many Korean, you know, influencers and just people of prominence. And I remember my mother couldn't come, but she wanted me to live stream all of it. And so I had my phone out the whole time and I'm like taking videos for my mother. And it to me, seeing my mother proud meant more than the dinner meant to me. As we all know, Korean parents love to brag. And you have to understand, for my mother, so many years, I was just like a prep cook in a kitchen somewhere, right? And all of her other friends, sons and daughters, became dentists and attorneys and doctors, and she was like, I don't know. Once she lied and said I was working abroad, and she didn't know. She was so embarrassed, she didn't know what to say. But I was like, no, I'm like 3 blocks away, working in a restaurant. But to see her have that pride, it meant so much to me. And knowing that she was able to see this coming, it's very hard sometimes to explain to younger generations, coming from where we came. Growing up, you know, we grew up in Brooklyn and Manhattan. Grew up, you know, pretty poor. You know, we'd say, you know, I'd say lower middle class. We would say now, and watching them struggle and watching all the so many weekends and nights and days that they had to give up to work hard, and then being able to give that back to, you know, my mother, but also being able to honor my country. Being able to represent Korean Americans in this country meant a lot to me. So that happened, and it kind of, again, like gave me this whole other sense of pride. And then, obviously, most of you know me from the Netflix show 흑백요리사. And I guess, so last year, I get an email, and they said, you know, you want to do this show? And so this is a funny story that I'll tell you, but I don't share with everyone, but I guess I'm sharing it with 500 people. Originally, they emailed me and they said, you know, really early stages, we're doing the shows in Korean, like, we're kind of looking for judges, and maybe, you know, we're thinking, you know, and I said, oh, sure. They said, do you speak Korean? On the email, I said, oh, of course. And so we got on a Zoom call, and then, I said, 여러분, 안녕하세요. And after 2 minutes, they said, you don't speak Korean. I said, no, I do. So I thought that was that. And then they emailed me back and they said, you know, we want you on the show, but we want you to be a contestant. I said, no, you know, I'm older and it's a lot, and I have to fly back and forth, and I have a family, I have businesses, and they said, I think you should tell your story. I think you should come on the show and do it. And I was very honest with you, I was very scared. Not because of the cooking part, but because of the Korean part. Because I didn't feel like I belonged there. I didn't feel, you know, I consider myself very American. And I remember on the plane ride over, I'm watching all the Korean movies, you know, on the plane to like practice Korean. But as you know, in Korean movies, all they do is curse. So I'm just like, after 15 hours I landed, I knew every curse word. But my grammar was still terrible. So I get to the stage, and as you know, if you don't know the show, it's 100 chefs. It's 99 Korean chefs, me. And I didn't, I mean, they were nice, but like, I didn't speak the language as well as they do. I couldn't understand it. I didn't know all the ingredients, you know, I was fish out of water, really. And I didn't know, and there was a point in the beginning, I was like, you know, because also like you're jet lagged, there's long hours, we're filming like, you know, 18-hour days, and I said, why am I here? What am I doing? I want to go back home. And I said, you know, I'll do one round, you know, I'll get knocked out and I'll go back home and call it a day. And I was alone, and I'm sitting in my hotel room, and I thought, like, you know, what am I doing? Also, nobody knew that this show was going to be popular, right? So I thought, I'm doing this show, no one's going to watch it. I'm really tired. And there was something happened because we were filming the first day, and I just remembered feeling very lonely, you know, in a room full of Korean people. And there's something like clicked in me, and I said, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to represent Korean Americans, because there are millions of us. I love my Korean brothers and sisters, but there was a misconception maybe about what we go through as Koreans in this country and how we've lived, and the trials that we go through is different. And Korean people have their own struggles, and what we go through in this country, we have our own struggles. And though we are both Korean, we have our distinct identities. And so I just wanted to represent Korean Americans. I wanted to represent them well, and I wanted to represent, you know, the food of Korea the way I learned it. I don't cook traditional Korean food, I never did. But I wanted to show Korea, or I wanted to show the world how much I love Korean food, how much I love the ingredients, and how much it's so personal to me, and how I try to tell a global story through Korean food, because I truly believe Korean food is the best food in the world. And so we did that, and then lo and behold, I was like, started doing well. And I never thought I was gonna get, you know, past the thing. And throughout the whole series, which was about 2.5 months of shooting, that I had to fly back and forth. And I just kept thinking, like, what is my purpose? Am I here to win this thing, or am I here to say something else? And I think, you know, my mother started, you know, I started thinking about my mother. I started thinking about my grandmother who passed away, my father, my daughter, you know, all the things. And I said, I have a Korean, my name's Edward, my Korean name is Kyun, E-Kyun. And my whole life, I never used that name. My wife didn't even know the name. Like, my mother knows the name, my sister knows my name. No one ever knew the name, and it wasn't that I was embarrassed of it, but I was Edward my whole life. And so it was like, I don't know. And I don't know, it's like midway into it, I said, I'm here because I'm Korean American. I'm here to find my roots. I'm here to find my identity. And I made a promise to myself. I said, I'm not gonna do it now. Because I really didn't want to, because I thought it'd be embarrassing. So I said, if I make it to the finals, which, you know, was a long shot, right? It was a 99-1 shot. And I said, if I make it to the finals, I'm gonna tell everyone my Korean name. And then I made it to the finals. Because I didn't want to, I really didn't want to, but once I felt like I had a responsibility, and I did it, and, you know, I sort of, you know, I had tears. It was very emotional for me. Anyway, cut to the show wraps. Like there's 7 months in between filming, finishing the show, and when it comes out, I come back to DC. I'm working. I open a new restaurant. I'm busy. I got my daughter. She drives me crazy. So I get an email, and they said, "Oh, show's coming out next week. Make sure tell your friends." And I said, "Oh, that thing, whatever. I had forgotten about it." And then of course, next thing you know, it goes viral. And the fame is amazing. I love going to Korea now. I have this huge network of support group. Like I feel connected to Korea in a way I've never felt before. I feel welcome in Korea the way I've never felt before. I represent Korean Americans in Korea, and I tell them, you love us. If you love me, you love us too. We're all Korean American. And one of the things that has happened, I have a closet full of letters and messages and people who send me messages on social media, and I never expected to hear so many people and so many Korean Americans and also Chinese Americans and Vietnamese Americans, Japanese Americans who say, there's a lot of representation on television because K-drama is so famous and K-pop, there's a lot of representation of Koreans in media, but not so much Korean Americans. And I never thought of that before. It never occurred to me or crossed my mind. And so many letters I've gotten from people who say, thank you for just being Korean American and telling our story. And so that always touches me. And so thank you so much. It is something that I never, growing up in New York City, I never thought that I was going to be like some kind of ambassador for Korean Americans. But now that it's here, I'm so proud to be Korean. I'm so proud to be Korean American. I'm so proud to represent this community that has come here with nothing, literally nothing, and we have built so much. And I know that for the younger generation out there, like our story is just beginning. It's not over. And I can't wait to see what the next generation does and the next generation after that, because our story is so vibrant, it's so important, and it's just getting started. And I want to really say thank you to KCSC, because it is organizations like this that helped my parents when they first came in. I don't think we could have been a success in this country if they didn't have support of organizations like this. So I want to make a huge shout out to them. I do want to make a little point, since I know this is a gala, so I know doing scholarships is really important. So I know you gave out 2 scholarships today, but I'd like to give 2 more. So thank you so much.